bald-headed, wig-wearing, sick hack Paula Metzler on Penfield Town Court. How do you explain to the United States Department of Justice that I appeared in Penfield Town Court without a public defender, without an attorney? How do you explain to the United States Department of Justice, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, and James P. Mully Jr., who has more hair than bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, that everyone is guilty in Penfield Town Court? You have total and absolute contempt for the law. And I'm going to prove it right now, you two hacks, because these three documents are Freedom of Information law. I'm demanding information from you two hacks. I'm not asking. I'm demanding information, and you demand information, and you better get it or you'll concoct crimes for people. You're in the process of concocting crimes for me. You received it, so you're going to receive it again right now, and I updated it to include today's date. The name, charges, sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mully Jr., Paula Metzler. December 16th. It's my name, my email, my address. December 16th. Receive that. The name, charges, sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mully Jr., Paula Metzler. December 17th. You received it because you're coming here. The name, charges, sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mully Jr., Paula Metzler. December 18th. The name, charge, and sentence. The sentence. Everybody's guilty. Isn't that right, Paula Metzler and Junior Mully? Everybody's guilty. How do you explain everybody's guilty to the United States Department of Justice? You received on December 26th. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mully Jr., Paula Metzler. You received it on December 26th. December 27th. Freedom of Information law. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mully Jr., Paula Metzler, Chris Chichester, 122720, Christopher Chichester, C. Chichester, J4mail.com, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, Penfield, New York, 14526. 26 Sanders Farm Drive. I hope you come in here and losing your minds, because I'm not here. I'm not at 26 Sanders Farm Drive. I'm not in Penfield. I'm not in Monroe County. I'm not in New York State. I'm going to say that again for you, you fucking bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal Paula Metzler. I'm not in Penfield, New York. I'm not in Monroe County, New York. I'm not in the state of New York. And you're losing your mind because you as one person, one hack, one hate-consumed extremist are in the process right now of attempting to send me to jail. How do you live with yourself underneath that wig? Where's the jury in Penfield Town Court? You can't answer that question because there is no jury. Paula, you were called on August 30th. You're on August 30th or August 29th. Days leading up to August 30th, I believe in the precision of language. You were called at some point leading up to August 30th, and you were told to be in Penfield Town Court, and you were called by someone at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and told, be in Penfield Town Court because we're going to bring this Christopher Chichester in. So, Paula, that's what my question is. Did Sheriff Todd Baxter call you and tell you to be in Penfield Town Court on August 30th? If it was not Sheriff Todd Baxter, what's the name of the taxpayer-subsidized employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office who called you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing degenerate? Are you able to function, Paula Metzler, given your age? Are you able to function up there? I look at you, it's total fucking confusion in there. You are a joke sitting there. You have no idea what is going on in Penfield Town Court. You are a cartoon judge, is what you are. You are a pathetic excuse for a human being, and guilt and innocence to you is totally irrelevant. The separation between guilt and innocence, you cannot comprehend. Everybody's guilty in Penfield Town Court. That's why you refuse to comply with these three Freedom of Information Law documents that you already received on December 16th, December 17th, December 18th. You just received on December 26th and 27th. That's 5 times now. I'm demanding. I'm going to say this again because you're age and enfeeblement in Penfield Town Court. How old are you, Paula Metzler? How old are you under that gray hair, Junior Mully? Can you function in Penfield Town Court given your ages? The answer is no. You have no idea what's going on. You are an assembly line of guilt in that little room. It is an abomination what you are in that little room. Where's the jury? Where's the prosecutor? You're sitting there determining guilt and innocence, and everyone is guilty. That's why you refuse to comply with the Freedom of Information Law. I'm going to repeat myself because it has to be hammered into the disease that is your brains there, Junior Mully and bald-headed wig-wearing Paula Metzler. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr., James C. Mully Jr., Paula Metzler. You're going to get the same document on December 28th, 29th, and 30th. You get it again. You get it every day leading up to January 1st, and you're going to refuse every time because it will show every single person in Penfield Town Court is guilty. And how do you explain that to the United States Department of Justice? How do you explain that to the Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo? How do you explain that to the Majority Leader and Speaker when I contact the Majority Leader and Speaker in Albany and tell them to investigate Penfield Town Court? How is that possibly explained that everyone is guilty and no one's acquitted? And I'll prove it right now. When was the last time someone walked into Penfield Town Court and was acquitted by you, one person sitting up there, and walked out of Penfield Town Court without a criminal record and without jail time? When has that happened? I'm guessing, I don't believe in speculation, so this is a guess. No one is acquitted ever in Penfield Town Court. Someone walks in there, they're adjudicated guilty, jail time, or a criminal record. Because you're an employee of Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Dorley. There's no independence from you. You are a nauseating, sickening, vile, disgusting little room with nauseating, sickening, vile, disgusting hacks in it. Paula Metzler, James P. Mully Jr., and John P. Lomenzo Jr. Sitting there in that little room without a prosecutor, without a jury. Paula Metzler on August 30th, you were called. Who called you? Told to be in Penfield. Down court. I leave my residence. I walk down Penfield Road to go to Canandaigua National Bank. I'm going to show you the evidence. That's the word. That was at Canandaigua National Bank because Todd Baxter gave me the evidence. So, I walk down Penfield on the sidewalk, go to Canandaigua National Bank. I had $21.39 in my pocket. I withdrew $40. I walk back down Penfield Road. I make a right on Sanders Farm Drive where I live. I make another right on Willapalm Way. I walk past Crown Oak Estates to get to Wegmans. I'm walking in front of Wegmans. 5 Monroe County Sheriff Office employee vehicles with 11 employees converged upon me. 5 vehicles and 11 employees for me because of what I'm doing to him on YouTube and how I read the salaries on YouTube and other things I'm doing to this party switching fraud Todd Baxter. Of the 11 employees that were there for me, 11 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees there for me. I see the vehicles converge on me. I turn like this. My back is still turned to the pharmacy entrance. One of the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees ran at me, lowered his shoulder, jammed his shoulder into the small of my back. I hit the concrete pavement. My head ricocheted off the concrete pavement, bounced off the concrete pavement, and then he briefly sat on me. They put me in handcuffs, put in the backseat of the vehicle. And you know what happened next. I was driven to Penfield Town Court where you were waiting there for me. Paula Metzler, you bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist. What's the name of the person at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that called you and told you to be in Penfield Town Court? And why wasn't there an assistant district attorney from Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Dorley, in Penfield Town Court? Why isn't there a prosecutor there? I've been delivered to jail twice as an innocent man without a prosecutor ever talking in Penfield Town Court. How is that explained? And this time the prosecutor's not there. And you know, Paula Metzler, when I was in there, when this 5'2", 3-piece suit boy left his podium and gave you some type of little piece of paper that accuses me of a crime, he didn't even talk either. A prosecutor has never talked in Penfield Town Court and accused me of a crime because I've never committed a crime, and I'm being pronounced guilty in Penfield Town Court first before you bald-headed, wig-wearing, nauseating hack, and also John P. Lomenzo Jr. How am I delivered to jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk? How do you explain that to the United States Department of Justice? How do you explain that to the Office of Andrew Cuomo? How do you explain that to the New York State Legislature? How do you explain that to the United States Committee on the Judiciary? How do you explain that to the United States Senate Committee on Judiciary, United States House of Representatives Committee on Judiciary, which we'll all be in contact with? That's why I gave you that roll call, if that's the right word, of elected officials and legislative bodies that I'm going to contact, the legislature and Congress, about you. You are criminals in Penfield Town Court. You, Paula Metzler, are a criminal. You, James C. Mully Jr., are a criminal. You're waiting there. Guilty, and why am I in Livingston County? How do you explain that? I'm in the process of contacting the Livingston County Sheriff. I don't know his name because I'm in the process of it. And the District Attorney in Livingston County. I'm going to tell the Livingston County Sheriff and the Livingston County District Attorney that I was in Livingston County Jail. And I'm confident they have no idea that I was in Livingston County. I am a citizen of Monroe County. I've lived here for 9 years, first in Webster with my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, and next in Penfield because Laura Riley's hired. Guess where Laura Riley's hired? Guess why we moved to Penfield? Bald-headed wig-wearing Paula Metzler and Junior Mully was more hair than bald-headed wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Because Laura Riley's hired at the Penfield Public Library. That's why we moved from Webster to Penfield. And when I would go see Laura, I would walk in the front door, and I do not know that at the end of that long hallway to the left is your little room, your little star chamber, where you two hacks are. Even though Laura Riley works at the Penfield Public Library, I am completely ignorant of the fact that you're in there bridging the civil and constitutional rights of innocent citizens like me. How the hell do you two hacks live with yourself? Where's the jury? How come the prosecutor didn't talk in Penfield Town Court? How do you explain that to the United States Department of Justice, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and Junior Mully? Tell me how this is a crime. Here comes the guy in his tractor one day. I come outside. I stand right here. I say, nobody owns that land. We're back in my house. I'm sitting right here. I see Shannon Myers, Todd Baxter, $67,000 a year hack, runs to my backyard, crash, rolls down on her face. 6 of them are here. It's pounding on my door. They're pounding on my door. I come outside. I say, what's going on? They surround me in front lawn. I'll go to handcuffs. How's that a crime? To walk outside, stand right here, say nobody owns that land, and walks back in my house. I go to the now defunct PW Fitness in Penfield. I'm at the back of the gym. Up walks to me Gym Psychopath Jermaine Benman. That name sound familiar? James P. Mully Jr. Because you cut a deal with Jessica Wagner, an attorney for Jermaine Benman, to let this psychopath walk right out the front door after what I'm going to tell you he did to me. This is what he did to me, Junior Mully. And Junior, I don't know if you're married, have a family, children, but if you have a son, and this happened to his son, you let this guy walk right out the door, Junior. What if what I'm going to tell you happened to someone in your life that you like or you love? You let this violent thug walk right out the door. I'm at the back of the gym, PW Fitness, on Penfield Road across from Wegmans. Up walks to me Jermaine Benman. He goes like that. I don't acknowledge his character. I say, I'll be 30 seconds. I lean back on the machine. He stands over me. He punches down. My head snaps back violently. James P. Mully Jr. I now know, as I tell my friends and family, I can take a punch like a Muhammad Ali against George Foreman at the Shasha Zaire. He begins to walk away. I had to make a decision right away not to attack Jermaine Benman and start a fight with him, which is what I should have done. Now tell me, what crime did I commit? What crime have I committed? Being a PW Fitness. The day I walked in there with my key card, and then when I walk in there, I'm thinking, where is he? This is what I do when I walk into PW Fitness. I go my key card, and then I go like this. When I'm going like this, I'm looking for Jermaine Benman at the gym because I don't want to be anywhere around this guy. And here he finds me and snaps my head, but it's a violent assault, Junior. So we go outside when Andrew Reale arrives because Andrew Reale is going to put the screws to me because he knows my identity because he's been to my residence's parking lot. Reale tells me to wait in the backseat of his vehicle. He talks to Jermaine Benman in front of me because he's not only talking to him, he's coaching, he's telling him what to say. He walks around to the side of the vehicle with Benman. And Benman tells me, I want to press charges against you. And that, Junior Mully, is how I'm charged with harassment second. Who am I harassing? Junior Mully. What is the name of the human being on planet Earth I'm harassing? Jermaine Benman is a criminal. And you, Junior Mully, you, James P. Mully Jr., are the defense attorney for Jermaine Benman because I have received a subpoena to go to Penfield Town Court. I sit down, I'm in the courtroom, and you told your employee to tell me to exit the courtroom, even though I received a subpoena. That's because Jessica Wagner of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office contacted you, James P. Mully Jr., and you, James P. Mully Jr., negotiated a deal with the attorney for Jermaine Benman to let this violent thug walk right out the door. This is a violent criminal act by a violent criminal. You are the protection racket for this violent criminal, Jermaine Benman. How do you live with yourself, James P. Mully Jr.? What do you think about everything I'm saying to you? What's your response? I believe that people have a First Amendment right to defend themselves. But you don't believe that about me, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and Junior Mullen. Tell me what you think. Click reply, because you'll see that you call the sheriff's office to come to my residence. You're using the sheriff's office as an assault upon my First Amendment right because you want to silence me on YouTube. They keep coming here. I'm on YouTube. They come here. I use your names. They come here. I don't know the reasons why. But I'm on YouTube. I'm using your names, using their names too. So I don't know how they're getting who's making the phone calls. But a phone call that I do know that was made was to you, Paula Metzler, from the office of Sheriff Todd Baxter to tell you on August 30th to be in Penfield Town Court when I was attacked and assaulted by this violent thug that works for Sheriff Todd Baxter. They dragged me into Penfield Town Court. I use that as a metaphor. I'm in front of you without a prosecutor, guilty, and I'm in Livingston County Jail. Why am I in Livingston County? Click reply and tell me why I was in Livingston County, Paula Metzler. I have this check of $61.39 because that's the money I had in my pocket. This right here is the verification, the evidence of what happened to me. This was in my pocket. This money was in my pocket when I was in front of you. Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. What's the name of the Monroe County Sheriff Office employee who told you to go to Penfield Town Court on August 30th? Was it Sheriff Todd K. Baxter? I have never committed a crime. Paula Metzler, did you meet with Lee LaRoque? Did you meet with Lee LaRoque? When I got back from Livingston County Jail to come into my residence, you know what's in my residence? Paula Metzler, you know what's in my residence. You know what I'm going to say. These blue gloves. These are blue gloves that Lee LaRoque was wearing for a search warrant. Right here. There's your name, Honorable Paula C. Metzler. You don't know anything about honor. Because you are a total bankrupt hack. You are a disgrace. Honorable. I have to prevent nauseousness when I look at HON, Honorable Paula Metzler, Honorable Paula C. Metzler, issuing judge. So issuing judge. As you're the issuing judge, it says to any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and any other police officer in the state of New York. Do you understand the English language? I don't know the number of deputy sheriffs or police officers in the state of New York, but it says to any deputy sheriff, to any other police officer in the state of New York. You signed your name on proof by affidavit for any other police officer in the state of New York. Search warrant, state of New York County, Monroe. I don't know if this is a search warrant for the district attorney's office, sheriff's office, because it looks like a concoction, and it is a concoction. Did you write this at Penfield Town Court, or is this a standard form for the sheriff's office or the district attorney's office? Is this what the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office has in their files as a standard form for a search warrant? Or is this just your little pathetic fucking concoction, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula C. Metzler? How did Lee LaRoque get in here? Did you have any contact with Lee LaRoque? What was your communication with Lee LaRoque to get in here? Proof by affidavit, where is it? Click reply and put this affidavit, proof by affidavit in here. It says proof by affidavit. How did Lee LaRoque get in here to be in here with her blue gloves? Having been this day made before me, Investigator Lee LaRoque, Deputy Sheriff Investigator with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. She came in here and they went crazy. Papers all over the floor. Everywhere. They went through my father's dresser upstairs that he gave me for when he was a child in Brooklyn. They went in a spare bedroom. They took my dress greens I wore when I was 101st Airborne Division. That was on the floor. That uniform should never be on the floor. And every veteran would agree that their dress green uniform should never be on the floor. Lee LaRoque went through every single square inch of my residence at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. Because of you, Paula Metzler. And she exited with my Chromebook. And I'm demanding that they send my Chromebook back to me. And that means that they read my emails and they went to the search history on the Chromebook to see the websites I visited. Because they're trying to concoct another crime for me looking at my Chromebook. Because of you, Paula Metzler. Where's this proof of affidavit? What's life going to be like for you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal? When I tell the United States Department of Justice, this is how Lee LaRoque gets in here. And if, in fact, this proof by affidavit doesn't exist. And I'm confident I'm not going to hear one fucking word from you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist. And that is going to be confirmation that this proof by affidavit doesn't exist. You, Paula Metzler, are an American psycho. That's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. You are among the 5 most disgusting, vile, sickening, bankrupt people I've ever encountered in my life. You're sitting there as one person without a jury, without a prosecutor, and you're in the process of the destruction of my life, character, integrity. You believe in the destruction of the life, character, integrity of an innocent American. And the reason why you're empowered to do this to me is because of what I'm doing to Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandy Dorley. 50 times I had to demand a payroll. This is it. This is a payroll Lee LaRoe did not take out of my residence. It's the payroll from District. I read the payroll from everybody in the District Attorney's office. I read the salary for everybody in Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and that's why they're concocting new crimes for me. Paula Metzler, what do you think about Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees hiding in the bushes? I come out of my residence over here behind these trees. I walk alongside my residence. They're in the bushes. And Todd Baxter's refusing to tell me the names of these 2 employees. You have to have standing. I'm not an attorney, but you have to have standing as a police officer in order to commence an arrest. Standing. Credibility is standing. They walked onto the private property of my neighbor. My 72-year-old neighbor, who's one of the nicest, sweetest people I've ever met. We would talk about her dogs. And I did not tell her, because of her age, that 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees walked along the private property, and they were right along the side of her house in her bedroom. I don't know where it is because I haven't been in there. But if her bedroom is along the side of the house where the window was, because they ran from the window, then they're right near her bedroom window. Right near her bedroom window, these 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office employees. I leave my residence. I walk alongside my residence. They come running at me. And what I'm about to say to you, Paula Metzler, is totally irrelevant because you are an assembly line of guilt. You just dare to pronounce me guilty. I'm not coming to Penfield Town Court, ever. And you can charge me with a crime. I'm not walking in there voluntarily just for you to pronounce me guilty and for me to go to jail. And any human being would do that. Based on my experience, based on what's happened to me, I'm not walking in. You're going to have to drag me in there. When I'm in there, Paula Metzler, you will not be able to talk. If I'm in there, I'll be in handcuffs. I'll be screaming at you and over you. I guarantee after I get done screaming at you, your ears will be hurting. Your ears will be in pain after I scream at you. You will not be able to talk to me because I'll be screaming at you and over you, issuing judge, you fucking bald-headed wig-wearing criminal. So I leave my residence. I walk alongside my residence. They come running at me. I don't know who this is. They're wearing the body camera. I turn around and run away. Doesn't matter when the body camera goes on. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters is what happens on the back porch. I'm running away. When I realize what's going on, I come around my back porch. One of them grabs my arm. I pull away and run in the back of my residence. The hammer that I just grabbed goes up and run back in my residence. That's a felony that concocted for me. I'm running away on my back porch. If he doesn't put his hands on me, then he has no reason to concoct a felony. The entire reason he was able to concoct a felony for me on my back porch is he grabbed my arm. And Todd Baxter is refusing to tell me the names of these 2 criminals that are on the private property of my neighbor. And this is what I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice, you bald-headed wig-wearing hack. And you bald-headed wig-wearing hack, I asked you in Penfield Town Court if you owned a dog. You are unleashing these parasites, Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah upon me, and I'm going to continue to contact them because when I contact the United States Department of Justice and Michael Caine, the editor of the Democratic Chronicle, the Office of Andrew Cuomo, New York State Legislature, Monroe County Legislature, I'm going to send them copies because I'm using their names. And you're going to, because you signed this order, issued this order of protection, you're going to concoct another crime for me. How do you explain to the Department of Justice and the Office of Andrew Cuomo that I signed that order of protection in handcuffs? I'm in handcuffs, and I know I'm not coming out of those handcuffs if I don't sign it. And then I send them an email, and you're now concocting a crime for me of violating this order of protection. I signed in handcuffs. I'm standing in front of you. You have that nauseating order of protection in front of you, and I know I'm not coming out of those handcuffs if I don't sign it, and I would have refused to sign it. If I was standing there and I was not in handcuffs, I would have said I'm not signing that. How do you explain that to the United States Department of Justice, the Office of Andrew Cuomo, the New York State Legislature, the United States Congress? How do you explain forcing me to sign an order of protection in handcuffs? I email Layla Kumar Shah, and now they're concocting a new crime for me because I emailed them. How is that possibly explained, Paula Metzler? Tell me how that's explained. And why do they need an order of protection from me? That's the thing, the heart of the matter here, to use that cliche. How do you explain that these 2 people I've never met require an order of protection from me? How is that explained by you, Paula Metzler? Tell me how you explain writing an order of protection for two people I've never met. Explain that, Paula Metzler. I'm walking my little guy that I adopted from Lollipop Farm Humane Society. And when I adopted him at Lollipop Farm Humane Society, I went in there with my ex-girlfriend, beautiful Laura. And we were asked in the interview, do you have a criminal record? And Laura Riley said no, and I said no. To this day, I've never committed a crime. So all I'm doing is walking my little guy the same way for 7 years and 4,000 times. The back window from this repulsive shack to Shaw law firm opens, and this overweight woman is screaming at me. I don't know what that is. I come back in. I put my little guy in the dog bed. My mom and dad got me. I walked through the parking lot when I was allowed to walk through the parking lot, just my neighbors and my excellent friend, Penfield High School students. I'm the only American to be arrested walking through the parking lot. This is when you're with Paula Metzler, Nate Raj, and Kumar Shah, 50-year-old man living with his mom. I walk in, they refuse to talk to me. This is what you're with. When I'm going to tell you what you're with and what you have unleashed upon me, you vile hack. They refuse to talk and come back here. An hour later, is pounding on my door. I'm demanding from Todd Baxter if he tells his employees to cut loose by ringing the doorbell over and over and pounding on the door. I don't know what that is. I walk to the door. 2 Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. There's the animal control individual pulling his hand with a noose on it. This is not a 100-pound dog. Demanding my dog from one phone call. I tell them you'll have to kill me to take my little guy from me. And I slammed the door in his face. And I walked over to the dog bed. I picked him up and he was shaking. I put him over my shoulder. I said, no one's ever going to take you from me. And I asked you in Penfield Town Court if you owned the dog. And you sat there in stone silence with that idiot deer in the headlights look on your face, you fucking criminal. So, now, you're going to continue to receive the Freedom of Information Law document from me. Since this YouTube's now at 27 minutes, I'm going to pound it into your corrupt minds. I'm going to pound it into your brain. December 16th, 17th, and 18th. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mullen Jr., and Paula Metzler. There's 3 documents attached. Mail it. Everybody's guilty. Isn't that right? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. And James C. Mullen Jr. has more hair than bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. You just received on December 26th, the name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mullen Jr., and Paula Metzler. Freedom of Information Law, December 27th. The name, charge, and sentence of everybody in Penfield Town Court for John P. Metzler Jr., James C. Mullen Jr., Paula Metzler. Send me a list of those defendants. You are going to receive from me the same document on December 28th, December 29th, December 30th, and January 1st. Comply. Send me a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court. The name, the charge, the sentence, and everybody's guilty. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime.